Predator is a very unique Dinn Corporation wooden roller coaster at Six Flags Darien Lake. And over the last 4 years, it has been getting brand new steel Titan track from GCI, making it a much smoother ride experience. Predator used to be known as one of, if not the worst wooden roller coasters in the entire country. But this GCI Titan track has helped more than anyone ever could have expected. And I'll tell you why in this review. But first, let's start with a little bit of history. Predator opened back in 1990 to rave reviews with this great airtime and pacing. But after not much time at all, it started to build a reputation of being very rough. It got so bad to the point that when Herschend owned the park, they were most likely trying to convert it into an RMC topper track wood coaster, because they sent out a survey for an inverting wooden roller coaster called Lake Monster, which had very similar track length to Predator. But for whatever reason, that plan never went through and it was eventually scrapped. So Predator continued to have a bad reputation with coaster enthusiasts and the general public, to the point that some people even said this:
"It's my least favorite wooden coaster."
I still think it'd be a pretty good candidate for an RMC.
It went horribly wrong. This is legitimately one of the roughest coasters I've ever ridden.
But in 2020, it was announced that GCI would be installing their all-new Titan track on Predator to make it a much more comfortable ride experience. And they started in 2022 with the first section being what many people called the death turn because of how rough it used to be. And at this point in 2025, they have converted about 1,200 feet of wood track into Titan track. And the park confirmed that they will keep doing this until it's finished. And if you want to know what year some of this footage is in, then if you see a blue train with red and gold stripes, it's 2023. If you see a solid blue train, it's 2024. And if you see a solid purple train, then it's 2025. But in this review, I will be explaining why this is what I would say is the world's most underrated roller coaster. So anyway, let's get into the very good layout. You start with a turn out of the station, and for whatever reason, this is by far the roughest part of the ride. It's probably because they never retract this section, but it's still weird to have this slow pre-lift be rougher than anything else on the entire coaster. Then you ascend the 95-foot tall lift hill, and you get to the top actually pretty fast. And at the top you get a great view of the lakes around the park. But you don't have long to appreciate this, because before you know it, you are already getting thrown down the very weirdly profiled drop, reaching speeds of 50 miles per hour. The drop starts off very shallow, and stops getting steeper for a little while, but halfway down it almost has a sky rush effect, which gives you good floater in the back, but not really anything up front. And you might expect it to jackhammer in this valley, but that's not the truth at all. It's very smooth, especially for a 90s Dinn wood coaster. Then you go right into the big camelback, and from some angles, this hill almost looks like one of El Toro's camelbacks. It gives good sustained floater airtime in any row, and at this point, you're probably thinking that Predator is a good roller coaster, but not really anything to go crazy about. Well, that's because this is all just a warm-up, and so far, the entire coaster has had wood track, but that is about to change. You then rise up into a turnaround, and you will definitely notice a transition. Not that it was rough before, but it's way smoother with the Titan track. But that's not the only thing you'll notice, because if you're sitting in the front row, this element gives very strong borderline ejector airtime, and it's very surprising compared to the strength of the moments that came before it. And right after that, with no brake at all, you get great laterals on this left turn, and once again, if you're sitting in the back row, you get very strong airtime. The next hill is actually the most recent part of this coaster to get Titan track. And once again, in the front row, it gives very strong borderline ejector airtime, and in the back row, it's more sustained but a lot weaker, where it starts as weak floater airtime and turns into good floater. But all of these elements you just went through we're all building up to this one moment, the original section of Titan Track. And I think this element was originally designed for the speed that the coaster ran at in 2022. But with other moments before this in the layout also getting retracked, it reduces the friction a lot, resulting in a much smaller speed loss, which causes this hill to run a lot faster than I think the park originally expected it to. In the front row, you get ejected out of the train. It's not as strong as like a top tier RMC, but it's very strong for a coaster with PTC trains and restraints. And I would say it's pretty much comparable to some of Twisted Timber's hills in the morning. But of course in the back, it's only very strong floater airtime, and every row gets easily the best laterals on the ride on the following turn. You'll just be pinned to the left side of the train until you reach this small section of straight track, which is one of the best moments on this ride to feel the speed. It makes you really anticipate these next two hills, which I'd say are the craziest moments on the ride besides the turnaround that came right before. These used to have some of the weirdest bouncy airtime and bouncy laterals. It was just so weird. But now they offer stronger and more sustained airtime, and the pop into each of them, in the front especially, has weak ejector airtime. But once again, in the back they have weaker, more sustained airtime, except the second one, which has more of a weak moment in the back. Then after these two hills, you return to the wood track for the rest of the ride. And this moment specifically just happens to be the roughest remaining part of the ride outside of the pre-lift. But it's still not too bad at all, especially in a non-wheel seat. You start getting some okay laterals, then at the top there's this weird abrupt lateral slam, which never used to be there. You used to crawl through this moment, so it's crazy how now you just fly right through. And now you have the finale, and a few years ago, this ride was completely over at this point. I mean, just look at this comparison of the same hill from 2023 and now in 2025. Just look at how much faster it is. But anyway, your first element is this speed hill, which almost has this kink at the beginning, giving everyone a great airtime pop. In the front, it's flowjector, but more like good floater in the back. And you might not have noticed this, but this is actually a double down. But the second down doesn't do anything in any row. In the front you get a pretty good sense of speed, but that's about it. And up next is the final hill, which gives front row riders weak sustained airtime, and back row riders weaker sustained airtime. And then you have your final turn that gives one more great lateral moment into the brakes. And that concludes your 3,400 foot ride experience. And as you could probably tell by my layout breakdown, I love Predator. It's my favorite coaster in the park because it really is just that good. I know many coaster enthusiasts in the past have hated on it, but it's much better now, especially compared to how it used to be. And I know that it's only going to get better from here. The reason I say that is because I've heard from the park president himself, and he confirmed that it's part of his 5-year plan, which started in 2022, to retrack Predator's whole layout, and it's expected to be done by 2027. So I don't know if this includes sections like the pre-lift, brake run, or the station, but if it does, then they will have to do bigger sections of Titan Track in the next 2 years. And one complaint I guess someone could make is that Predator runs way better in the front than the back. And while this is true, I usually like to judge coasters by their best row, and Predator's best row is by far the front, but it's still really good in the back, just on a whole nother level in the front. So in the end, I can't imagine giving Predator any other score than a 10 out of 10. It really is that good, and I think anyone should ride it if you're in the area. It's pretty much right off of I-90, making it accessible for anyone driving through New York. And trust me, it will not disappoint. So if you enjoyed this video, then please like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video.
Cracky.